All right, we're live. There's always this awkward moment where we are live, but it doesn't tell us we're live. And so there's this awkward, like,
What are we doing?
what's going on? Ruha, good morning / afternoon.
Afternoon, very bright. It feels like summer in here today. It's freezing outside.
Freezing.
It feels like
Is
summer.
it the kind of thing, though, like everywhere else, I guess, when the sun is shining, the temperature drops, right? Like it's like cold.
I don't know. It's warm in my heart.
The other morning, I like got up and I was getting ready and I came to open my bedroom blinds and I'm like, there's snow everywhere. What the hell? I forgot it was.
It's so strange because we're on opposite ends of the country and you normally get a lot less snow and we get a lot of snow. And we've had 2 snows. It's been dry. The grass is green. It's beautiful out here.
Yeah, that's abnormal. That's abnormal.
And you've had so much snow.
I know. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's get into what we're talking about today, friends. I'm psyched to be doing a Facebook Live. We've not done Facebook Lives, and YouTube Lives. We've not done lives in ages, mostly because I think like a lot of people who past 3 years have kind of kicked our butts and we only have so much capacity. I'm curious, Ruha, do you find your capacity coming back? I find I have more capacity for things.
Slowly, but I'm trying to be intentional about what I'm reintroducing into my life because I'm the person who's like this extreme or the other extreme. Yeah. And someone just helped me recognize this, that I swing from one end of the pendulum swings from this end to the other and there's no in between. Yeah. And so I'm trying to take it slowly and not go after all of the things that I think I need to be doing.
Yeah. Being intentional. I'm always talking with folks and encouraging them to recognize their pre-signs, like their signs of when they're getting worn down. I don't even want to call it signs of burnout because if you're getting signs of burnout, you've gone too far. Mm-hmm. come back to us. But what are those signs that your body, your brain needs a break to help that pendulum from swinging? Do you know your signs? When does your body when's your body saying, back off?
I'm still trying to figure that out because I know what it's like when I'm at that threshold, right? Like I'm already about to, I'm in burnout zone. Yeah. But getting there, it's like, for me, it's like when you're thirsty. I know when I'm thirsty, but how do I know leading up to it? I just have to keep drinking my water. But there are signs. It's just, you have to learn what it looks like for you specifically because it looks different for everyone, right? And so for me, I am still trying to figure it out, but I can tell my focus, just my cognitive functions in general are just not as sharp as they should be or that I feel they should be. And I'm cranky. I'm the kind of person who I will get cranky about everything. When I start getting irritable, I know something is off balance and I need to do a quick check.
Yeah, 100%. The like focus part. So I do my lives on TikTok 3 days a week for Fantastical Fatty, right? And this morning I was on and I can feel that I'm tired. I also think this is a hormonal thing today. I'm kind of feeling kind of crappy today. And I think it's a hormonal thing. But I couldn't focus for the life of me. Every time I'd have a thought, boom, it was gone. It was like I just was spending the hour trying to hold on to my thoughts. And you get to a point where you're like, I just give up. Like I can't, we're going to ride this wave of, I call it my ADHD chaos, like, or having a bad ADHD. Like the thoughts are coming and going and it's like trying to hold Jello that's not yet formed, in your hands or even it's like, it's just spilling through. I give up. But you said something really interesting. You said, I don't recognize the signs of being thirsty before I'm thirsty, so I just keep drinking water. And I think that really bodes well as well for folks who can quickly slip into that pre-burnout, exhausted, cranky, irritable. It's like, okay, so if you don't know how to catch it before you hit that point, you just have to be consistent with doing less work. Be consistent with building in more space. Like you have to just be preventative so that you don't get to that point.
I don't think it's even, I think there is that we're really good at recognizing what to do to prevent, right? Like we're good at like realizing, okay, I need to rest now. But then the other side of it is, okay, you've rested up. How do you recharge? And like figuring out what recharges you and building that into your life, that's hard to do.
See, I think resting and recharging is the same. So I count those the same. How do you delineate between the two?
Rest is rest. Rest is like resetting. You're getting back to zero, right? Like you were at a negative, and now you're at 0. Now your battery's at 0. How do you get to 100? And you're probably not going to get to 100 very often, but like how do you now bank up? That's where you're building your capacity for creativity, for productivity, for all of those things. Where I think we've just gotten to the place where we're so used to running on 0, that we don't know what it's like to be filled up anymore. And there are different things to do to rest and to recharge, I think.
I know. I'm going to give you an example. Yes, we're going to add on to that. And I love that we will eventually get to our topic about showing up authentically, because I think this is a part of that conversation. But I was just talking with somebody, it's like they say that it takes, when you hit burnout, it takes an average of 2 years to get back to full capacity, right? And I think what ends up happening is we burn out, right? And then we just keep, like, if this is full capacity, it's like we charge just enough to send that text message and it goes down. We charge just enough to do that live and it goes down. And we don't ever just stop and then all the way charge. I always think I have friends of mine who have jobs where they're able to take sabbaticals or things like that, and they'll take a year off to recharge, because they cannot catch up on their energy stores. They're just constantly recharging just enough to get through. And holy crikey, that is not a way to live.
Well, I think about how I'm trying to carve back time, reclaim some time now, because I can work all day, every day, happily. But I also know it's not healthy for me, for my relationships, and it's, so now I'm in this period of time where I shut off my computer. I'm not looking at my emails after a certain time. I have dinner with my partner, and then he goes off to do his own thing. And I sit there and I go, what am I supposed to do with this time? And it's so tempting to just go back to work, or think about something work related, or journal about something work related, because there's nothing else anymore. I have completely devoted everything to this one aspect of my life. That, I think rediscovering what everything else could look like, what my social, creative, joyful pursuits could look like. But I don't have this sort of bank of activities I could turn to recharge right now. I don't know what that looks like.
I think that's okay. This is a total, I think, a guess, an assumption that is common. And I think especially since the pandemic, like when I lived in Toronto before the pandemic, I had my business, but I also had so many other things that I did. Then I moved back to the West Coast, the pandemic hit, and we didn't do anything. And it was work or sleep, because quite frankly, I was exhausted and depleted. And it was work or sleep. Then there was Netflix, and Disney Plus and Paramount Plus and Crave and Prime. But then even that, I remember I bought a PlayStation because I'm like, I can't watch TV anymore. It is not doing it for me. And it's this feeling of, I'm going to say two things. It's this feeling of, I don't know who I am outside of my business. That's a really common thing. And I talk a lot about how entrepreneurship will swallow you whole if you let it. It will take all of your time, energy, money, like mental capacity, if you let it. And I think that is really common for entrepreneurs, especially once we get busy and having success. We are so excited. We are so purpose-driven. We are so committed, but it will swallow us whole and make us one-dimensional real quick, because we lose who we are outside of it to our business. It's like a smothering relationship. Like you lose yourself into it. So then we start asking ourselves, okay, well, who am I outside of the business? And I think early on, there can be a lot of guilt around not always thinking about your business or working on your business, not working hard enough, not being productive. There can be a lot of unease and stress and worry, because if I'm not obsessing about it 24/7, is it even going to grow? And then when we get busier, it's more about, okay, more goals, bigger goals, more things I want to achieve. Like that happens. And so there's the other side of it too, with the pandemic, which is where we all just stopped doing things. And so we didn't know what else to do. And so I think we've got this like perfect storm of a lot of entrepreneurs being swallowed whole by their businesses. Thoughts?
I think we're in this very interesting space right now. I'm sure you've noticed this. A lot of entrepreneurs I'm seeing are choosing to not do the things that normally they would have felt obligated to do. For example, the end of year review, whether that's internal or something that you email to your audience. A lot of people just either didn't have the time or deliberately chose to not do it, and release that obligation and the guilt and the just everything that came along with that. And that's just one little thing, but I'm seeing people coming into the new year and feeling like, okay, I don't have to be operating at 100% already. I just came back from the holidays. How do I make this easy for myself? And can I allow myself to let this look a little different this year? Yes. And I think it's allowing us, I know this, just a little more space, a little more compassion for ourselves. Maybe this is just the community that I'm, the space that I'm operating in, but it feels like there's a little more kindness, and we're allowing ourselves to figure it out and review and adjust and tweak and experiment a little, play a little.
Yeah.
And the only thing not that I'm concerned about, but something I'm just paying attention to is how much of this do we allow ourselves to do before it sort of flips and we go, okay, now I need to catch up because I haven't been doing all of those things that I haven't been doing, and now I need to be speeding to get back to where I was this time last year. And I don't mean in terms of revenue, I just mean in terms of this idea of productivity, that how much output there needs to be for us to feel like I did enough.
Yeah. To your earlier point about the pressure and how we're dialing back this year, this trend that you're seeing with entrepreneurs, I was talking about that on my live this morning in terms of Fantastical Fatty, and how I feel bad that I haven't updated the workout in 5 weeks. That even though folks are on my email list, I haven't been sending emails, and starting to feel bad about that. And then was like, wait, but why are we here? Are we here to update a workout? Are we here to get an email? Or are we here to show up live together and work out and chat? And it really got me thinking about presence versus pressure, right? Mm-hmm. And what is why are we here in community? Is it to have the perfect email, the perfect Insta grid, right? The perfect anything, right? Be making sure that we're doing every single little thing possible that we can, or just show the frig up. Just show the frig up and bring your presence, bring yourself. And I think that really lends itself well into where your area of expertise is in that showing up. That how are you showing up authentically? How are you showing up as you and making a difference?
I think it's going to look different. There's also this pressure to, because I'm seeing everyone else who I think are successful do this particular thing, that's what I should be doing as well. Mm-hmm. And showing up it could look like showing up on, creating content and posting on social media on a regular basis. Maybe that's what showing up is for you. Maybe it is your email newsletter. Maybe it is, showing up to live events. Maybe you are in community in person. It's going to look so different for different people, but we both, I feel like we both deal with branding to some extent, right? But we're also looking at, in terms of showing up authentically, it's not just, I am trying to help people build brands that are authentic to them. But authentic, I think, is also, it's not just this is who I am and that's how I want to show up, and that's how I want people to perceive me, but it's also how am I communicating the values that are important to me? How am I communicating that I'm a responsible business, that I am considering, ethics, I'm considering the well-being of my clients, that I feel like authenticity has to be, it's not just about you, it's about your community. It is about your clients. And the biggest thing, I feel like we think so much about that. We spend a lot of time trying to figure out how do I make it look pretty, right? Yes. What does the logo need to look like? What does the website need to look like? What does that Instagram grid need to look like? But I think before you even get there, you need to figure out what does authentic mean to you?
Yeah.
And that's an evolution. It's like an evolving process. It's something that you do over time. But first you have to be asking yourself the right questions.
Hang on, I want to write that down because I want hang on. I want to talk about that. So this evolving over time. It's funny. I just did so in the Get Ish Done Club, my new membership. I'm so excited for it. We always have a monthly theme, and so this month's theme is about content pillars and how we use pillars to content batch. Next month's theme is going to be all about TikToks and Reels, short form video, building on what we do this month. Yep. And I kind of gave a nod to brand pillars, because there's content pillars, there's brand pillars, two different things, but you kind of need those brand pillars to be able to effectively execute on content pillars, which brings us into things like values, core values, right? Purpose, missions, whys, and this idea of things evolving over time. And I talked about that. And I think there is this, I know there is this pressure to have everything now. And I think what stops, I keep saying I think, even though I damn well know, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. I damn well know. I know what stops entrepreneurs from putting themselves out there is this, I need to think my way through this. And of course, we can't think our way behind a computer hiding from the world. We have to get into action. We have to put ourselves out there and let our mission, our purpose, our values evolve. Let our brand evolve. Let the way that we show up authentically and how we define authenticity evolve. But it's not something we can think our way through. We have to be putting ourselves out there to get there. So what are your thoughts? Like when you think of something, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, what I'm thinking is, the reason we're building a brand and the reason we're putting so much effort into the brand strategy, figuring out what our values are, what our mission is, how do we express that? How are we going to market ourselves then? What does that marketing look like? We're doing all of this to build brand trust. You cannot build brand trust or any kind of trust if there's no interaction, if your audience is not interacting with you, if people your potential clients are not interacting with you.
Well, forget brand trust. They don't even know you exist.
Right.
It's like trying to build
trust happens over time as well, right? And so you're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to, all of those things get to change and evolve. And the trust will grow and evolve along with that as well. But you have to show up.
Do you think that building trust is something that entrepreneurs think about? Or at what stage do they start thinking about that? Sorry, go ahead.
Brand trust. At what stage we start thinking about it? I feel until someone tells you trust is the point, you probably don't. We're used to the checklist, right? Yeah. You have a business plan, check. You have a bank account, check. You have the website, check. We don't think about and the goal is to get clients, make money, all of those things, but we don't think about that in between piece. We're doing all of these things to build trust, and when people trust us and it's the right fit, then they choose to work with us, and then we make money. But I don't think certainly with a lot of the people I work with, my clients tend to at least not consciously realize that trust is kind of the point.
Yeah. Well, and you said something interesting there that I'm gonna open up this can of worms. Let's see where it goes. The goal is to make money. But what if it wasn't?
If the goal wasn't to make money?
Yeah. What if the goal was to have an impact? What if the goal was to
I think for a lot of our clients it is to make an impact, and we want to be able to do the things that are meaningful to us and to our communities, and also make a living along the way. And not everyone is trying to make a living with their businesses, certainly.
Really?
There are people who do it just for fun.
So it's more of a hobby than a business.
Yeah, it's still a business. It's just they might not need the funds, but for most people, it's it is their means of livelihood, or they would like for it to be putting the food on the table and beyond the basic necessities, they'd like to have whatever their dream lifestyle is. And I think a lot of people, certainly an increasing number of people, probably the people that we work with, want to make positive change, and they want to leave behind some kind of a legacy. And it doesn't have to be it's not about fame and wealth, but making a living doing something that's impactful and that's meaningful is important.
So I'm going to finish my thought on that. So what if it wasn't about money? So entrepreneurship, I believe, powerful tool for liberating ourselves and liberating others. And you can make a lot of money through entrepreneurship. For a lot of folks, way more than they ever will working at a job, right? A corporate job. I believe that it is an accessible way for people to generate a very good living. Who knows if their goal is wealth. I mean, you can be like those people who push wealth, 7 figures, 8 figures, go. That's not me. Tends not to be the people I hang out with. But that doesn't mean that it's not available to you. But when the goal becomes making money, that changes things. When the goal is to make an impact, right? And what I mean by that is within entrepreneurship, within marketing and branding and sales, there are rules and a formula. And when you learn the rules and you follow the formula, the money will come. So the money part is almost like a side effect of showing up, a side effect of saying your piece, a side effect of changing lives and changing the world. And I find that when people focus on monetary goals, on the numbers of followers, of subscribers, of sales, their goal becomes get the sale, make the money. But when we focus on the impact and we focus on doing the things that our business is not our business, doing the things that we are here to do, but we're following the rules and the formula for building a business, like they work together. But I think a lot of people get really focused on the numbers and not on the impact. And then there's this shift to seeing everyone as a dollar sign. My goal is to make money. My goal is to get clients versus who is this message right for? Who wants the impact of this work? How am I connecting with them authentically? How am I building the trust with them to bring them into my world and letting that money flow easily without us having to try to cling for it and make that the main goal? So I'm not saying not to make money. Entrepreneurship you can make a lot of money doing what you do. I'm not talking about that. I'm a Capricorn. We love making money and we're good at it, right? But I'm talking about, can we shift from that being the goal to the goal being more focused on the activities we're doing, the way that we're showing up, the people that we're connecting with, and follow the formula so that money comes in as a side effect, as a byproduct of the work that we do. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I totally see. I understand what you're saying. I think there's like money as like the business as a means of creating. It's your life. It's of creating, generating money, but then also not. It should. What I understand from what you're saying is like it shouldn't be the entire purpose of the business, and that there really should be this foundational. That it's about making impact. I think you should know your numbers, and you need to know how much you need to make. Yep. But when it gets to the point where you see every potential person you get on a phone call with, or you meet at a networking event, you see them as like a collection of dollar signs. That's when I think that's when it sort of it feels off. You start chasing. You're chasing the dollar signs. You're not even chasing money at that point, because the money is probably not going to come, right? Like at some point, depending on who, I think it does show through in how you operate, how you show up, and people see that.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And to your point about knowing your numbers, yes. Okay. A business's function is to make money. So we're not denying that. A business's function is to make money, right? And you want to know your numbers. You want to track your numbers. And it is a good idea. Yeah, set goals. If financial goals drive you, then set those goals, right? But if they don't drive you, you don't have to feel bad about that. You can also set it on, again, impact-based goals. We talk about outcome versus process goals. There's outcome goals, which are those revenue goals, and there's process goals, the activities that you do goals, right? And
I will say, I think it's a lot easier to, sorry, I totally interrupted you. I feel like it's a lot easier to let go of that a little bit and to focus more on the impact once you have your basic necessities are covered. Your expenses are covered. You're not worried about, okay, where's my next, how am I going to pay for groceries next month? Once you've gotten over that initial sort of milestone.
I agree, because I built my business this way since the beginning. I've always been.
I think for a lot of people, it's really challenging because they don't know if it's going to work yet, right? They're still there has to be, I think we jump into this and recognizing that, okay, running a business, there's risk involved, and there has to be a lot, you have to trust in yourself and your ability to make it work so much. But until you've proven that hypothesis that you know how to make money and you're going to be able to do it, I think you can still come in with the intention of creating impact. But I think it's a lot easier to get distracted, especially in the online business world, by everyone else who's talking about making 6 and 7 and 8 figures, and right, and operating in ways that maybe don't feel authentic.
Truly. Well, that's what I was saying when it was my turn to interrupt you. I, from the beginning, built my business with, I'm only working with people I want to work with, whether that's a client, a customer, a vendor, a collaborator. And I opted for a slower growth. I kept my day job, right? Until my business could sustain itself, because I was not prepared to sell myself out to grow faster. And we do see a lot of people do that. I saw a lot of my friends do that, work with absolute creeps, because it got them to their financial goals faster. But the stress and like literal creeps, the stress and the unhappiness that they were having in their businesses, to me, that wasn't worth it. And I think that's just an important conversation when we talk about the pendulum swinging and the burning out and the this and the that and the authenticity and the building trust. I think it's important to know for you why you're building your business, the types of people you want to surround yourself, and including your core values. And as we said, those things evolve over time, right? We learn that. Another thing I find, like sometimes when we talk about things like proof of concept, will people pay this for me? Will this idea make money? The amount of times that you have people who are chasing the dollar figure goal, attracting and connecting with the wrong people, internalizing that it's not for them or they can't make it, or having the wrong people give them feedback because it's the wrong people and that's not feedback they should be listening to, right? That's another trap that we can fall into. Like because I work with so many newbies, right? And this is what I do, is get newbies making money. And it's like, sometimes they'll say, well, this person said that. And I'm like, but are they your market? No. Do they understand what you're doing? No. Well, then why are we listening to them? Well, because So I think it really is that I guess authenticity starts with knowing who you are, knowing who you want around you, and checking in on who those folks are, and are they supporting where you want to go? I'm rambling. So we're talking about bad ADHD day, because now I'm also thinking about how when we surround ourselves with the right people, how those goals change, how those focuses change, how our own core values change and evolve, because those things are expanded for us in different ways when we're hanging around the people that feed us.
And I think it gets, I think when you are surrounding yourself with people who, at least at basic level, there is some overlap in terms of shared values, and what you prioritize and how you want to operate in the world. You're having more of those conversations from you don't want to be having too narrow of a lens on it, but you're sort of all looking at this thing from different perspectives, but through the lens of these shared values.
Yes.
And it helps you see things in a different light. It helps you expand your way of thinking about it. And that, I think, helps you discover, okay, this maybe works for me and this doesn't. And this is really important to me. And this actually I don't have to think about anymore. I'm okay with letting it go. And also, this is the thing that I really want to stand up for. And here's something that is a deal breaker for me. And I absolutely will not tolerate it in running my business.
This makes me think of even the conversations you and I have had, right? Like, yes, absolutely. And so I think I'm gonna restate my original question, and we're gonna wrap it up here. Restate my original question of, what if your goals are not only based on making money, right? Can we make space to have monetary goals, because those are important, and also values goals? Can we have space for both of those types of goals? And can we be checking in to make sure that they are in alignment and in balance with each other and serving each other?
And absolutely, yes. I mean, the answer is yes. We are surrounded by people like this. And I think I'm very grateful for it. That your community is made up of people who really do value impact, and they know they have something to deliver, and they want to be surrounded by other people who are making the world a better place.
Yes. Hell yes. Okay, so I love that this conversation went way off road. I'm gonna have to take this banner down and put a totally different banner up. I loved it because really what we talked about is this authenticity piece from the perspective of values and trust and what we want that to look like. And that's what it comes down to. Authenticity, well, okay, authenticity is many things, but one of the facets that it comes down to is based on our core values and based on how we're living those core values to build trust with our community and with our future clients. So if you could give a piece of advice, one piece of advice to somebody in how, you know what? Okay, I'm going to ask 2 questions. The first question is, what the frick does it have to do with branding? So let's start there.
Okay. Yeah. Branding, because we are trying to build trust, your brand is a reflection of you often, or your business. Generally, we're talking to people who are the faces of their business. So it's a reflection of you. And so figuring out what is authentic to you just makes it easier for you to show up in an authentic way. And so that's just a reflection. It's just going to show up in your messaging. It's going to show up in your content. It's going to show up in all of these different touch points, all the places that someone is interacting with you, in your collaborations with people. It doesn't even have to be clients, but you're building a brand. And in order to get there, you have to figure out how you want to operate first. That's the whole point of the brand, right? Your brand values and your mission and all of those things. It's sort of a guidepost for you to figure out, how do I make decisions going forward about everything in my business? Does that answer your question?
I love it. Yes, I love that. Okay, so then the next question is, tip. Can you share a tip for how somebody can start having those core values and having that authenticity reflected in their brand? I know that's a big question. Just something simple.
It's a massive question.
I know.
I think document it, write it down somewhere, whether it's your journal or your, if you have a business plan, make it a working business plan and act like a living document, write it down. If something, if you're really passionate about something, about whether it's a value or it could be like a sustainability goal, whatever it is, if something matters to you a lot and you're passionate about it and you want to see that reflected in your business and you want people to know that you care about that, write it down and try to figure out, then I would start exploring. Just as soon as you identify it, you're going to start hearing about it everywhere. So notice how it's showing up in the world around you and how other people are talking about it. Start engaging in those conversations, and then think about how do I want it to show up in my business now? Do I want to talk about it actively in my content? Do I want it to show up on my website? Do I want, does this need to be very actively represented in how I show up? Or is it something I get to is it something that's internal?
Yeah.
And it's just how I make decisions. Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. And I mean, like, if you go to my about page, it's right there. I have my entrepreneurial philosophy on there. I have my core values on there because they are important to me. And so I do talk about them a lot and I live by them. And when you know those core values and when you know what is authentic for you, your branding becomes simpler. Your content creation becomes simpler. Like the way that you show up, it is simpler. It is more authentic and it is more connected.
Absolutely. I've found that even deciding who I want to hire, people, business coaches, service providers, how I decide who to work with, because there are so many people out in the world who I could potentially work with. Ultimately, yes, I'm paying attention to what their values are and what their brand is, how they're showing up in their brand. But I'm also going back to my values and looking at it and asking myself, is this, if I work with this person, is it in line with the values that I've identified are important to me?
100%. Oh, Ruha, you are amazing. You are amazing. All right. So folks, I've included Ruha's website and Instagram in the description. So you can find it there. You know what? Hang on. Let me look. Do you have like a fun freebie?
No, I don't. That's my focus this year. I'm putting up a new one. But for now, what you should do, this is something I'm playing with. Yes. So if you follow me on Instagram and send me a little message and tell me that you want to be on my close friends list, I will let you know when I do. I'm hosting special sessions where we have conversations about branding and growing community and some little things like that. Just how authenticity can show up in your brand in all of its different ways. So yeah, that's one thing you could try.
Brilliant. I love it. So send the DM, say, let me in the inner circle.
That is it.
I love it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today for this lovely little snapshot of a conversation.
Thank you for the conversation. This was fun.
I love it. Okay, go and have an amazing day, everyone. Thank you for watching, and we will see you all real soon. Hang on, let me end this broadcast.